Hello and welcome back to my channel. You're watching What Helen Reads and I'm Helen, and today I've got another Mafia Monday romance video for you. So in the beginning of May, some booktubers that I follow hosted the Mafia Romance Readathon, and I thought it was a perfect opportunity to take part in the readathon, share with you the books that I decided to read for the readathon and do a bit of a video blog as I was going through. So by the time you watch this video, the readathon is now over, but like I say, I thought it would be really fun for me to do. I've never done a reading vlog before, so I thought it was a great opportunity to try that. And of course, because it was a Mafia Romance Readathon, then it absolutely made sense for me to do it as part of my monthly Mafia Romance Monday video. So what is the Mafia Romance Readathon? Well, the idea is that between the dates of the 4th and 7th of May, you should try and read as much Mafia Romance as you can. Now, this is hosted annually by Jen from the Book Refuge. This is the 3rd year she's been doing it. And this year she is joined by some co-hosts, Rachel from Rachel Reads and Sings, Jackie from First Lady Reads, and Joe from Not So Average Joe. So how does it work? So what happens is you get to build a bingo board. Because it's only a 4-day readathon, it's a 3x3 grid box, so you've got 9 boxes to tick off. And Jen gives you some prompts that you can follow. Now, I'm very strategic with how I built my board. The idea is to get a line, like in bingo, the idea is to get some sort of line. You can go across, down or diagonal, and that's absolutely fine. But most people try and go out for a kind of a blackout, so that's basically where you tick off every single box. Now, you can tick off multiple prompts for one book. So if it covers more than one thing, you can tick them off. So I wanted to choose some books that would make sure that I could tick off 9 prompts. So what did I pick? So hopefully I'll be able to display the prompts that I picked. Next in a series, royalty in the title, takes place outside the US. A capped captive situation, a tattooed hero, a host recommendation, the oldest mafia book in my library, an Irish mafia and a Cosa Nostra mafia book as well. So the 3 books that I've chosen are Stolen by a Sinner by Michelle Hurd, Twisted Night by R.G. Angel, and Illicit King by Maggie Cole. Stolen by a Sinner by Michelle Hurd ticks off 3 of my prompts, which is next in a series, a host recommendation, and a capped captive romance. Then Twisted Night by R.G. Angel, that is also the next book in a series that I've started to read. It is a tattooed hero. It is the oldest mafia in my library because it's been sat there since last year and I haven't got around to it yet. And it's also a Cosa Nostra mafia romance. And then the final one, Illicit King by Maggie Cole. That covers off royalty in the title, takes place outside of the US because it's set in Ireland. So it's a host recommendation, tattooed hero, and Irish mafia. So, like I say, I've been very strategic. I've got 3 books to get through, 9 prompts to tick off my board, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to get through all 3 books. Like I said, this is my very first video blog. I am currently filming this intro on the last day of April, and so tomorrow Illicit King comes out by Maggie Cole, so I'll be picking that up as soon as it comes out, and I will vlog my experience to let you know how I got on and if I'm enjoying it as we go through. So I'll see you in my next clip. Okay, so we're just about to start the Mafia Romance Readathon, and the first big book I'm picking up is Illicit King by Maggie Cole, which is a new release. It just came out on the 1st of May. So this is a pretty long book actually, at 460 pages. Hopefully it'll go pretty quickly. I really like Maggie Cole's writing style, and I really have enjoyed the Mafia Wars series that she's done so far. And in this one we are starting our Mafia Wars Island journey with Illicit King. Basically, the blurb says, "He's not my king. Tall, rugged and focused on destroying my family, Brodie O'Connor's the one person I need to avoid. He seduced me on purpose and now I'm paying the consequences. Every step I take he's there, lurking in the shadows, studying me, waiting for any chance to undermine my efforts to become my father's successor. He's succeeding. No matter how much I try to shake him or our heated encounters, I can't. He insists I'm naive, in the dark about what my family is really about, and what he tells me I can't fathom. He's lying, screwing with my head. It can't be true. My father is cruel, but he wouldn't do this. Or would he? If Brody's right, then where does that leave me? Where does it leave us? So, like I say, it seems to be two people from two rival families. I'm just going to get stuck in now, and I'll come back, like I say, in about 10-20% into the book and let you know how I'm getting on. Okay, so I'm about 20% in now to this book, and just about to start chapter 6. What we've learned so far is that Brody is now basing himself in Ireland. His family have been in New York, and him and his brothers have been sent back to Ireland to sort out some mafia business in Ireland. We also know that his father is quite miserly, and he's not giving them the best equipment. So as an initial example, the very first thing we find out is that they're in a private plane, but it's a very old one, and the plane runs into mechanical issues and has to make an emergency landing in London and doesn't quite make it all the way to Ireland. And he rings his father and basically says, you know, thanks to the old equipment that you've given us, we've had to land early in London. And his dad is basically saying, well, unless you make some money, then you're not going to get upgrades, basically. So Brody finds himself stuck in London with his brothers, but it's another opportunity, because the rival family, the O'Learys, have recently taken over their racetrack. And his father says, while you're in London, maybe you can investigate, see what's going on, and see if we can get the racetrack back. And this is where he meets Elena, and Elena is part of the O'Leary clan, and she's been sent to London by her father to take over the racetrack and basically make sure it's profitable. And he's not going to let her head home just yet. He wants to make sure that it's all very secure and running smoothly before she goes back. What we learn about her is that she has had to be exceptionally badass in her role, because she's got some brothers and she desperately wants to take over the clan when her father passes away, but it's most likely to go to her eldest brother. But her brothers are described as being a little bit idiotic and not capable of running the mafia. So she very much is trying to prove herself that she's capable of leading the family. Of course, her father is not somebody who gives her praise, gives her well done, and he's also threatening to marry her off to somebody else, and that she can no longer take part in the business. So she's got, like I say, she is portrayed as extremely badass, very much is at the forefront of any punishments that need to take place. So she's not afraid to torture and kill people, but she's doing it to seek approval from her father and to potentially take over for the clan. Now, Brody sees a picture of her, is super attracted to her, and decides that he's going to try and seduce her to find out more about the racetrack, to see if he can take it over. And he goes in with the knowledge that she's his enemy and that he's going to use her and abuse her basically to get the information that he wants, but ultimately he's going to have to kill her. So the first 20% really is him trying to find out what her normal routine is, to intercept her. So basically their first meet cute is when she's out running and it starts to rain. She falls down, hurts her knee, and Brody is there to basically pick her up and sweet talk her, convince her to go out on a date with him. And she finds it very difficult to get dates because of who she is, because of who her father is, and she's quite taken with Brody, and she decides to go out on a date with him. The only thing that I'm thinking as I'm reading all of this is I really like the two. They're obviously extremely attracted to each other, and we've got a good foundation for why their families are at war with each other. The only thing that makes me suspicious is that she doesn't seem to know who Brody is, and I just think if they're rival families, surely she would know what what the sons of her enemy looks like. And he's lied about his last name and about his family and what he does for a living, but the only thing I keep thinking of, surely she would know what he looks like. We'll keep on reading, we'll see how far we get, and I'll come back to you probably around the 50% mark. Okay, so I'm just at 50% now, just about ready to start chapter 15, and quite a lot has happened in the last 30%, and it's moved on quite quickly. So Elena and Brody have been getting to know each other a little bit more, and Elena has found herself telling Brody maybe more than she should have, giving away some family secrets, and he's been really sort of like probing her without trying to go too far to make her too suspicious. So every time she gets a little bit suspicious of him, maybe he backs off. What we've sort of established is that there's a traitor at the racetrack who has changed the algorithm on the gambling machines so that the machines are paying out more money than they should be, and this is a problem obviously for them because they're trying to make money out of these gambling machines. So she is in a bit of a quandary. She knows she's only got a few days till her dad maybe rings her and asks what's going on. And meanwhile, Brody has basically said that his job is as a data expert, and it's his job to analyse data and patterns and algorithms and things, and he's indicated to her that he's been able to help casinos in the past. So of course, when this incident happens at the racetrack, she calls him and says, I need your help to come in and look at the machines for me and maybe change the algorithm. And this is his in, because while he's there, then he obviously gets the ability to hack into their systems, he knows her passwords, and while he seemingly fixes the problem at the time, he gets to find out a little bit more what's going on and gives him direct access into their systems. So it's one way in which he's going to bring her down and get the racetrack back for his family. Of course, while this is going on, he's starting to develop villains for her, and so he's constantly having this battle in his head about whether or not he's going to be able to kill her at the end. And he's sort of saying, of course he is, because you know she's an O'Leary and he's an O'Connor, and ultimately they need to get the racetrack back, and he needs to kill her. Separately to this, we know that Elena's still battling very much with her father. She absolutely wants to take over, but no one is taking her seriously enough because she's a woman, and he keeps threatening to marry her off to his underboss, Tommy. And Tommy is just a really, really horrible older man. He's sort of in his 60s, but really, really horrible, not at all nice person, and he makes her skin crawl. And essentially Tommy threatens that she's going to have to go back to Dublin soon and he's going to marry her. And then simultaneously to this, her younger sister, who's only 25, tries to escape and run away, and she comes to London, and of course Tommy is the one that's sent back to collect the sister. Now she's resummoned them back to Dublin, and she finds to her horror that her dad has actually married her off to her sister, has married Tommy off to her sister, and now her sister is going away. So obviously this is getting the brain thinking about the next book, because we know that the next book is going to be with Aidan, which is one of Brodie's brothers and her sister. The brother Aidan has already got Tommy on his hit list in terms of someone he needs to kill. So the plot is starting to come together. I very much suspect, like all of Maggie Cole's books, that the next book will overlap. So this will end on some kind of cliffhanger, leading us into book 2, but it will also then take us back in time, so that when we start that book, it will probably run parallel to this one, because probably we'll be finding out a bit more about Aidan and the sister and everything in Ireland. So the cogs in my head are starting to tick about how this is going to connect to the other books in the series. And we also have got a couple of tidbits of information. For example, that Elena's mother is supposedly dead, except they never found a body because she burnt, and apparently all the bones burnt and everything, so it was an empty casket that they buried. So there's a question mark over whether the mother is actually still alive, and if she is, did she fake her own death, or has her father done something with her? And also we know that Brodie's mother left them when they were left the kids when they were younger, and has basically gone away. So we don't know if maybe she'll come back as well. Just thinking about sort of plot lines and stuff that have happened in other Maggie Cole's Mafia romances before, just really getting my thoughts ticking. And apologies for the clock in the background. I've got a granddaughter clock and it chimes, so it's just turned 2 o'clock in the afternoon here. So I'm going to crack on with the story. I'm really enjoying it so far. It's very intriguing, and also it's a very push and pull relationship between them, because they're very, very attracted to each other. There's a lot of chemistry, but she can't trust him, and she knows she doesn't want to bring him into her world, but of course we know as readers that he is in her world already, but he is obviously just trying to lure her in to get information out of her with the intention of killing her at the end. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out and how it goes down, and I'll probably check back in another sort of 30% or so when I'm getting near towards the end, because I imagine the third act conflict will appear when she discovers his true identity. So I'll check back in then and let you know how I'm getting on. Well, that's just taken a bit of a turn. I'm only actually at 58%, so only 8% more read since the last time I checked in, but it all took a bit of a turn. So when Elena got back to Dublin, her and Tommy went off on his honeymoon with their sister. They split out Tommy's responsibilities between the siblings, and Elena got the fight club. And it's an underground fighting ring, and her dad's basically said that she needs to double the profits or he's going to marry her off to somebody. Of course, she tells Brody what's going on, and that's the clock again. It's always going off when I'm trying to talk. It chimes every 15 minutes. Anyway, after a bit of prodding, Brody gets Elena to tell him what's going on, and she's adamant that she can't be with him anymore and that she needs to focus on what she's doing. But she does tell him the situation she's in, and Brody decides he's going to help her. And of course, it's now fight night. So one of her ideas to double the money is to get some new fresh blood in and a new fighter. And of course, we know Brody potentially is a fighter. So when she goes there that night to do the fight club, who should turn up to be one of the fighters but Brody? And when the guy who runs the fights announces him as Brody O'Connor, that's when she also realises that he is her enemy, and now she feels really stupid that she didn't know who he was. So this also answers the question I had earlier, which was how can she possibly not recognise him or know who he is if it's a rival family? So this is all coming together. So Maggie Cole has answered that question, but like I say, it's all just taken a bit of a dramatic turn, and now Brody's going to have to fight one of their champions. I'm sure he's going to survive, but I'm going to dive back in just to see what goes on. Check back in with you later. Well, that whole fight sequence did not go as I expected. I was expecting something else altogether, and it kind of went horribly wrong, but also not horribly wrong all at the same time. So I'm about 71%, just about to start chapter 22, and after that whole sequence, we're now fast forwarding 18 months later. So like I said, not quite what I was expecting at all. A little bit shocked and interesting to see what the last part of the book brings. So I'll check back in with you when I know a bit more. Ooh. So I've been sitting here for most of the day, and it's 10 to 5, so all I've been doing for the last 6 hours is reading this book, and I've literally just finished it. I'm a little bit dazed, if I'm honest. It wasn't at all what I expected, in a good way. I thought I knew where it would go naturally and what the third act breakup was going to be, but it was nothing like I expected. And yeah, after the sort of underground fight club sort of sequence, which again I wasn't expecting at all, and the way it ended I wasn't expected. There was an 18 months jump, and so towards the end of the book there were a few more time jumps, like 2 months later, 6 months later, and so on. But it didn't feel particularly disjointed, and I know that Maggie Cole is probably going to fill in the gaps in the timeline when we get to the other books, because that's what she normally does. She sort of overlaps the timelines with the next story. And as predicted, there is a big cliffhanger at the end, which is not to do with this couple. They do get the happy ever after, but it obviously opens us up to the second book in the series. So the next one isn't coming out till the middle of June. As it stands right now, I will absolutely be picking that book up. and I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with the rest of the brothers, what's next in the story. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I've read it all in one sitting. You can see from my clips I literally haven't moved all day apart from to grab some lunch, and I'm very keen to read the next book. But there we go, that's the first book that I'm due to read as part of the Mafia Romance Readathon. So like I say, I really enjoyed this one. I think I'm going to give it 4 stars. It wasn't quite a 5-star read for me, but I absolutely loved it and would highly recommend, and it was a great start to my readathon. So on to the next book, and I'll see you in my next clip when I go through what I'm reading next. The Mafia Romance Readathon officially starts today, and as you know, I've already read Illicit King. I just needed to get a step ahead just because I've been really busy at work, and also in the UK it's the King's coronation weekend, and so there are some parties and things at the weekend, so I'll have reduced reading time. So I just wanted to get ahead to make sure that I could finish 3 books and blog about them. So I finished Illicit King, which I talked about in my previous clip, and today I'm just about to start the second book that I've got, which is Twisted Night by R.G. Angel, and this is a Cosa Nostra Mafia romance. It's also a tattooed hero next in the series, and I'm not sure if it will tick off any of the prompts on my bingo board, but it was also one of the oldest ones that I had on my Kindle. I read book 1 probably at the end of 2021, and then downloaded this one to read next, and I never got around to it. The first book is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but it is still a Mafia romance. So in terms of the book's description, what's this one about? So we've got Dom, who's our hero, and it basically says, the sins of the father are the sins of the sons. For years I've been trying to atone for the crimes of the monster who created me, for the monster running in my blood. I'm unworthy of love, of compassion, of understanding. I made my peace with living this life of penance while hunting the rat poisoning the ranks of the familiar. At least that was true until she entered my life. India McKenna, a walking, talking contradiction built in a goddess. When she looks at me, her emerald green eyes full of tenderness seem like my shot at redemption. I lost my soul many years ago, but this woman makes me want to retrieve it. Will I be brave enough to reach for it? And then India is our heroine, and it says, I left Calgary to get away from the hurt, to heal my heart and my life. What I didn't expect was meeting Domenico Romano, a career criminal with a heart of gold and looks that could make any woman fall to her knees. A man like I'd never met before, a man so hell-bent to keep his distance, to make me believe he is bad despite the goodness I keep seeing seeping out of him. This man is so full of secrets, of doubt and remorse, and as I tried to save him in spite of himself, I find myself falling for him. Will I be brave enough to save us both? So that is the blurb and the description of the book. Like I say, I'm just about to get stuck right in, and I'll come back to you at around the 20% mark, I guess, and let you know how I'm getting on. Okay, so I'm up to about 21% now. I'm just about to start chapter 5. So what we know in this one is that the hero, who is Dom, he is the consigliere for Luca, who was the hero from book 1, and he's head of his mafia family. Now, they're all part of the Cosa Nostra, and of course there are multiple leaders, so multiple Doms. And there is a capo di capo who is called Matteo, and Matteo is the hero from book 3, so the next book in the series. Now, we met him in book 1, but he's been quite a big part of the plot so far. We've only briefly met the heroine, and we haven't spent a lot of time with her at all, so it's really just setting up the plot and what's going on. And our hero Dom has quite a dark backstory. His father was a made man, but lower in the ranks, but he was doing a bit of a side hustle where he was doing some human trafficking and capturing very young girls and selling them into sex slavery. And what we know is that he forced Dom to do some horrible things to these girls, and he has got a lot of guilt and hatred for himself, about what happened in the past. Of course, he was only a young boy himself, and his father was trying to train him to be a very bad mafia man. And now he's older, obviously. What we know is that the other mafia guys found out what his father was doing. He seems to be dead, and they shut down their sex trafficking ring. But the hero Dom has got quite a lot of bad memories and scars from what happened. And then flash forward to the start of this book, where the heroine from book one and Luca, who's the Dom, they obviously had their happily ever after, and now she's pregnant with twins, and she has asked her cousin to come and stay with her in the final month of her pregnancy to help her out. And so this cousin has now come from Canada, and that's our heroine, and she's called India, and she is a psychologist by kind of in her career. So she's turned up, and Dom is instantly attracted to her. She is a very attractive woman, very tall and beautiful, but he's very suspicious, and obviously they don't like a lot of outsiders in the mafia, so he's a bit concerned that she's going to be living in the house and potentially figuring out what's going on. And he's also obviously very closed off. He doesn't spend a lot of time with women generally, and he steers away from relationships. So that's the only sort of contact we've had with the heroine so far. She's just come to stay at the house, and the rest of the time Dom has been away on kind of mafia business, liaising with Matteo because they're hunting down a kind of a rat. They know they've got like a rat in the ranks, and they're trying to figure out who it is. So he's gone off to do some business with Matteo, who like I say, is the capo di capo. But also there's a little plot point that's come in where someone slipped Dom a note into his pocket while he was at the airport picking up India from the airport, and on the bit of paper it said that it just said one word, which said rapist. And so now he's wondering who knows about his past and what's happened, and who could have slipped this note into his pocket. So like I say, we've got to 21% of the book so far. Most of it has been setting up the plot, trying to track down the rat, and also knowing that somebody's after Dom maybe to bring him down or expose what happened in his past. Like I said, we haven't seen much of the heroine at all just yet. But I'm going to crack on with the book now, and I'll come back again if something exciting happens, or probably around the 50% mark. So I've just got to 50% of the book, and I think I'm going to call it for tonight as well, because it's getting towards my bedtime. As you can see, my gorgeous cat is having a bath, having his evening bath. So I'm at 50% into this book, and I have to say I'm a little bit confused about what's going on. So as I said, at the 20% mark, the hero and heroine, so Dom and India, had not actually spent that much time together, and they both seemed to be attracted to each other, but hadn't actually spent any time in each other's company. So the author hadn't built up any kind of sexual tension or any chemistry between them really, other than their initial attraction to the way each other looked. And as we've gone through the next 30%, we've had more backstory. So there's definitely a plot. They're trying to find somebody who is a rat in the organisation. And alongside this, we have the ongoing storyline of Cassie, who's the heroine from book one, her pregnancy, and they need to go to New York. Cassie's having twins and she needs a C-section. So they've moved, basically, like I say, to New York, and the heroine's gone with them. Cassie's just had the babies, and so Luca, who's her husband, is with her in the hospital. And so Dom and Indra are kind of alone for the first time. And she's just suddenly said that she is attracted to him and wants to be with him. And he sort of said, I feel the same way. But I felt like there's been no real build-up. Like, there has been some indication, but not, like I say, they've not really spent that much time together. There's not really been a lot of build-up, and they've suddenly jumped into this, we like each other. Now, The secret that Dom's sort of been carrying, like I indicated before, is that he had a very difficult childhood and was forced to do things to women that has left him quite scarred. And now he doesn't like having relationships with women because he he can only get off if he, if from fear or pain. And so he tends to just have sexual relationships with sex workers and they provide a service where they have consensual non-consent because that's the only way he can get off. Now, the heroine India said to him that she fancies him and wants to be with him, and he sort of indicated that he's not a good person and likes to have rough sex. And then she sort of just said, well, come with me into the bedroom, do you trust me? And then has just basically tried to dominate him in the bedroom, which was a really weird sort of part of the storyline for me because there was no indication from her that she was a dominant. She doesn't really know what his actual backstory is yet or why he is the way he is. She just knows that he likes rough sex. So I'm a bit confused as to this sudden about turn of events. It seems to have really come out of the blue, and he just sort of went, okay, yeah, you can dominate me. And it's all a little bit odd and confusing, if I'm honest. I think the book so far has been quite choppy, like scenes have been removed or something because they've just not spent a lot of time together. They haven't really established any kind of relationship. She's not really aware of anything in his backstory. They haven't spoken about it at all. And like I say, they've just suddenly got to this stage where they've had sex and she's dominated him. I'm just a little bit confused. Anyway, I'm going to finish the book there for tonight and then I'm going to bed. And I'll pick up again tomorrow night. So I'll see you in my next clip. Hello, so here I am. It's the next night and I've just finished Twisted Night. I'm sad to say it didn't get much better than when I left it last night. I'm just left a bit disappointed. I think I'm going to rate this one 3 stars. It had some really good plot points. Some of the sort of backstory and the kind of like the plot and them trying to figure out who the rat is. His backstory about what happened to him when he was younger and coming to terms with who he is was interesting. And also, I'm not sure if I mentioned, but she had an ex-boyfriend who was quite violent towards her, and he did make a bit of appearance. I thought he was going to make more of an appearance. I thought he was going to be some sort of plot point where she'd get herself into trouble because her ex-boyfriend came back to try and get her because he was sort of stalking her. But that was cut off pretty quickly when Dom was just like, he's not having any of that, and he basically, made sure that he was dealt with. So that wasn't too much of a plot point, which I was thinking that it might be. But overall, I just felt this book was really choppy. It was almost like it was a much longer book to start with, and someone had given the author feedback to make it shorter. I think it currently stands at just over 300 pages. And there's some really good bits of the book, but then in terms of their relationship, it feels like bits are missing. So they came to their relationship very quickly. They didn't really work through their issues. She automatically just jumped to saying she's going to be with him, and she knows that he's obviously got a dark past, but she's happy to be with him without him fully explaining what had happened. So I just found it was really sort of choppy and sort of quite quick, and their actual love story between them was not that believable. But the rest of it behind that, I really enjoyed the kind of the plot and the storyline and kind of what happens, and also it's setting up the third book. And I am really interested to read the third book because I enjoyed book 1, which was the Beauty and the Beast retelling, and the hero from the next book is Matteo, who's the capo di capo, and he's played quite a big role in this book, and we've learned some things about him. And so I'm quite interested to read book 3, but okay, so I'm quickly gonna go on to the third book of the readathon, which hopefully will finish out my bingo card. I'll get to tick off everything on my bingo card. So this one is Stolen by a Sinner by Michelle Hurd, and this is book 3 in the Sinners series. I've read books 1 and 2 and really enjoyed both of them. And from a bingo board perspective, this will tick off a couple of prompts, which is next in the series, a host recommendation. I think this is going to be a captive romance, which I'm looking forward to. So the blurb on this one is fairly short, and it just says, Cinderella said to be kind, have courage, and always believe in a little magic. She's wrong. To survive in my world, you have to be dead inside, be on guard at all times, and never dream of the impossible. You never dream of anything because you don't just get to stop working for the Polish Mafia, but you can be stolen from them. Well, kind of. When Gabriel Demir, head of the Turkish Mafia, attacks my boss, I'm caught in the crossfire. I'm taken captive, interrogated, and soon find myself in the position of maid again. Only this time it's for the Turkish instead of the Polish. This time it's for a dangerously attractive man and not the insane one I've known all my life. This time I find myself fantasizing about my boss instead of dreaming of ways to escape. This time I'm not threatened with pain and death, but with pleasure. But can I step out of the maid's uniform and into a ball gown? Do I dare cross that line just for the moment in the spotlight? So I think this is quite a big book, 461 pages, so it might take me all the way to the end of the Romance Mafia readathon. It's currently Friday night, and I'm going to start this book now, see how far I get. But it is getting quite late because I've just finished the other book. Tomorrow it's actually the King's coronation, so we have a party at my sister's house where we're going to be watching all the TV coverage of the coronation. So I probably won't get much reading done tomorrow, so I'll probably end up reading the majority of this book on Sunday, which will be the last day of the readathon, and then I basically need to edit this vlog and get it up for Monday. So it's going to be pretty tight because this, like I say, is a long book, but I'm really looking forward to this one. I thoroughly enjoyed the first 2 books. So I have high hopes for it, and yeah, I'll get started, and I'll check in again around the 20% mark. That may be tonight, but it may be possibly tomorrow morning or Sunday, depending on how I get on. So I'll see you in my next clip. Okay, so it's now Sunday morning, and it's been a couple of days since I finished the last book, The Twisted Knight, and started Stolen by a Sinner by Michelle Hurd. Yesterday was the King's coronation here in the UK, so we had a family party at my sister's house. So yesterday was a pretty long day. We got round just before 10 o'clock to see the pre-coronation event happening on the TV, and then obviously all the way through the coronation. So we had lots of food, lots of things to drink. When we got home last night, I was absolutely exhausted, so I didn't have time to read a lot or give an update. But now it's Sunday morning. I've had a really lazy Sunday morning so far. Just got out of bed, and it's coming up to about 10:30, and I'm about 25% of the way through this book at the moment, and I have to say I'm absolutely loving it. What we know so far is that the hero is Gabriel, and he's head of the Turkish Mafia. And his arch nemesis or enemy is the head of the Polish Mafia. Except we don't think the head of the Polish Mafia knows who he actually is. But we know that he murdered his parents when he was just a small boy, about the age of 9. And so Gabriel is the hero. He's desperately wanting to take revenge on the head of the Polish Mafia to, avenge his parents. And he's basically been brought up by his grandma and also his housekeeper, Nazim. And, he, for all intents and purposes, he is a mafia boss. He's head of the Turkish Mafia. He runs a couple of nightclubs, and but he looks after his staff really, really well. He doesn't rule by fear. He rules by, being a good person, looking after them, paying them well, and generally being pretty nice to them. So that's what we know about Gabriel. And our heroine is Lara. Now, Lara's mother was Polish, and she came from Poland and worked for the head of the Polish Mafia as a maid. And so Lara was very much brought up in his household when she was a little girl. Now, We believe that her mother died of bronchitis when she was just 12 years old, and then she had to step into her mother's role as a maid, and so has been a maid since she was 12 and didn't get to finish school. She actually only went to school till she was 16. But under, I think his name is Mazin, but under Mazim's household, she has been very much mistreated. All of the staff have been, everyone has been kind of controlled through fear. She has had to share very poor accommodation. She has hardly any possessions. She doesn't get paid for her work, and she gets severely punished if she does anything wrong. And this guy is so horrible that if you do any form of transgression that he determines is a transgression against him, he will even kill you. And he has these kind of bullets in his study with all of his employees' names on, and basically he threatens to kill them if they step out of line. So when this book first starts, basically we see that he has asked her, so basically the baddie, the head of the Polish mafia, he's asked Lara to go and get him some dinner. He wants prawns and oysters for his dinner, and she heads off to a restaurant, a local restaurant called Aqua, to order his food, and she's got to be back by 6 p.m. Now, as she's coming out of the restaurant, she runs into our hero Gabriel. She bumps into him quite hard. She drops the food, it spills all over the pavement. He kind of dismisses her. She's quite angry but also scared, because now she's going to have to reorder the food. She doesn't have the money to pay for extra food, and also she's going to be late back, so she's going to be severely punished. Gabriel goes about his business and she goes back home, and as we suspected, she is in the middle of getting a severe lashing for being late with his dinner. And then that night, the mansion is attacked, and Gabriel has found out where this guy is, and he's decided tonight's the night he's going to attack the mansion, kill everybody there, and basically Lara gets in the crossfire, essentially. Gabriel shoots Lara in the stomach and side, and he decides that he's going to take her, get his doctor to take a look at her, and if she survives the shooting, he's going to see if he can question her to find out what she knows about this guy, because although he's sort of stormed and raided the mansion, he does get away, and now he can't get revenge. So this is a situation we're in. He then obviously takes her back to his house. So for me, this is sort of a captive situation, but it doesn't last very long, because after just a few days, he realizes that she doesn't really know anything. She's actually completely innocent, and he offers her a job in his own household. Now, she is really, really scared. She doesn't know what to do. She thinks she's going to get punished. She thinks he might be evil. But the head of the household, Nazim, is really, really lovely and takes her under her wing, and is starting to look after her and assure her that she's not going to get hurt. So I'm absolutely loving it so far. I think Gabriel as a hero is really nice. He is obviously very good at what he does. He is cool when he needs to be, but with his staff he's really, really kind, and he's starting to see that Lara is very innocent, and she's starting to, you know, get under his skin a little bit. So it's really nice to see how their relationship is starting to evolve as well. So like I said, I'm at 25% now. I'm going to carry on reading, and I'll check in a bit later on in the book and let you know how I'm getting on. Right, so I am now at 47% of this book. I've just stopped to make myself some lunch, and I'm absolutely loving it. It's been so good so far. I really like the build-up of the tension between the couple. He's been having to be really, really patient with her because she's very, very scared and fearful, and it's done it in a really clever way for me, because I don't see the heroine as being weak and pathetic and needing someone to take care of her, but equally she's very, very vulnerable and scared, and I think it's done really well. So you don't feel that she's weak or, you know, dislike the heroine anyway because of that. I think it's Michelle Hurd's written her part really, really well. I'm really liking her character, and the hero Gabriel is so nice and caring. There's been a really, really great caring scene in there where Lara has been sick and he's basically nursed her back to health, so it's really, really good. And what I like about this one compared to the last one I read is that the couple have spent a lot more time together. The relationship between them is developing really, really slowly but naturally and realistically, I think. And we've also started to weave in a bit of plot. So we have seen Gabriel interact with the priesthood, which is some of the other mafia leads from this series, and we also do know that there's something going on with the head of the Polish mafia, Mazur, who is wanting to get her back. So far he sent in a man to try and find out if she's still alive, because obviously she's been taken and they know that she's been shot, so he wants to know if she's alive. And now Gabriel is starting to ask questions of why is she so important to this guy, and you know, he either thinks she's either valuable because she knows something that she is keeping to herself and therefore she's lied to him, or maybe that she's related to Mazur in some way, because we know that obviously her mother is passed away. She doesn't know who her father is, and so Gabriel's starting to suspect that maybe Mazur is her father. Mazur has denied it so far. He's basically saying she's nothing to me, she is just a slave. But then why does he want her back so badly? So I really like the fact that there is a little plot going on behind the scenes. It's obviously going to come to something, you know, it's going to maybe be part of the third act conflict. But equally, I'm just loving so far the relationship between them, and I'm loving the characters, and also some of the side characters as well, because Gabriel has got a really sweet grandmother and a housekeeper who we really, really love, and is really taking Lara under their wing. So yeah, like I say, thoroughly enjoying it so far. Looking forward to the rest of the book, and I'll check in again with you soon. You can be in Mama's video. You can be in Mama's video, baby. There we go. So I've just finished reading Stolen by a Sinner, and I absolutely loved it. I've given it 5-star rating. After we left off, the hero and the heroine just continued to get closer in their relationship. I really loved the way it developed. I really felt their connection and believed that they were in love, and I loved the fact that Gabriel became so protective of the heroine, and obviously just was additional incentive to track Mazur down. Now we do find out the big secret, which I'm not going to spoil here because I don't want it to be a spoiler, but it wasn't quite as we thought, and what I liked as well is that we got the priesthood together to sort it out. So far in these books, sort of at the end, the hero is called in the priesthood to help out with the final showdown, which I've really enjoyed. And I still absolutely love Victor and can't wait to get to his book, although I think it's the last one in the series, and see what happens with him and Rosa. But yeah, like I say, I'm not going to give any more away, except to say that I absolutely love this book. I loved both the hero and heroine. I thought their relationship together was absolutely perfect. I loved the way their chemistry grew and developed over time. And it was a very satisfying ending, so yeah, would highly recommend. So that's the end of the Romance Mafia readathon. It is Sunday, it's just a few hours to go and the readathon itself will end. I only had planned to read the 3 books, and I've read them all, which is absolutely fantastic, and I have blacked out my bingo board, which is also great. So I really feel happy with my reading experience for this week. Absolutely brilliant that I found another 5-star book, and also thoroughly enjoyed Illicit King by Maggie, which was 4 stars. Twisted Night, like I say, I did enjoy, but it was my least favourite of the 3. I just think it had some gaps in the storyline that it would have benefited if the relationship between the couple had been a bit stronger. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed the readathon, and I have really enjoyed doing my first reading vlog for you guys, and now I'm just going to have to quickly go and do some editing so that I can get this video up tomorrow. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please do give this a thumbs up, and remember to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content from me. So from me and Hanzo the cat, goodbye. And remember to why can't I say the word subscribe? I can't say the word subscribe. And remember to Did you enjoy that book? Did you enjoy it? This time it's for a dangerously attractive... I made my peace with... Well, hello, and I'm about to start reading the second book in my reading. Start again. Do the infamous. So quite a lot has happened in the last 30%. Elena and can't even remember his name.